Welcome to another thought-provoking episode of the Frost & Sullivan podcast series. Today we are diving into the global pharmaceutical outlook for 2025 and beyond, analyzing how key regions are driving transformation and what that means for stakeholders across the healthcare ecosystem.
Let's start with North America, the undisputed leader in the global pharmaceutical market, projected to hold over 52% of global market share in 2024. What's fueling this dominance? Much of it stems from explosive growth in anti-obesity therapies, as well as life-altering treatments like Merck's Keytruda, which is rapidly expanding its indications. Combine that with a strong innovation pipeline, 50 new FDA approvals already in 2024, and it's clear that rare diseases, oncology, and pediatric cancer are at the forefront of therapeutic advancement. However, there are looming headwinds. The U.S. is mulling tariffs on pharmaceutical imports, which could disrupt the generics supply chain, particularly from India, one of the largest global suppliers. This potential policy shift could significantly reshape sourcing strategies and increase the urgency for supply chain localization. If you are a CXO, how resilient is your supply chain to geopolitical policy shifts? Are you prepared to pivot sourcing strategies while sustaining innovation velocity?
Turning to Europe, we see moderate growth, but strategic focus. The EU is channeling investments into sustainable biomanufacturing and rare disease R&D, driven by programs like Horizon Europe and the EU Pharmaceutical Strategy. Yet, regulatory tightening, especially the upcoming Health Technology Assessment, HTA, for oncology and advanced therapies in 2025, could slow drug approvals. That said, Europe continues to leverage its strength in biosimilars and generics, with a projected 5% annual growth until 2025. We're also seeing a bold push to localize manufacturing, reducing dependency on imports from China and India, and forming new partnerships, such as with Mercosur markets. How can life sciences leaders in Europe turn regulatory complexity into a competitive edge? Is now the time to double down on localized, sustainable production?
Asia-Pacific is one of the most exciting regions for pharma innovation in 2025. Markets like China, India, and Indonesia are rapidly becoming global hotspots for clinical trials and drug development, with China contributing over 22% of the global pipeline and India forecasted to attract $20 billion in private equity investments. The region is positioned to lead in biologics and cell and gene therapies. This momentum is powered by regulatory reforms, diverse patient pools, and aggressive investments in biotech infrastructure. Are you leveraging Asia's clinical and manufacturing capabilities fast enough? How are you structuring partnerships to access these innovation hubs? In Latin America and the Caribbean, the focus remains on generics, but regulatory transformation is creating room for growth. Brazil's Anvisa is set to simplify drug approvals via digitalization by 2025, and Mexico's proximity to the U.S. continues to strengthen its position in generics and biosimilars. Government initiatives across Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, and Colombia are also driving better access to essential medicines and attracting new entrants. Are you exploring LATAM as a viable growth or manufacturing destination? How are you adapting to this region's regulatory acceleration and cost advantages? Lastly, let's talk about the Middle East and Africa, regions experiencing a surge in healthcare spending and local production. Saudi Arabia now manufactures 45% of its domestic pharmaceutical needs, and Turkey is emerging as a key hub for regional distribution. Clinical research is also gaining traction, with countries like Egypt and the UAE expanding their R&D ecosystems. The combination of policy support, population growth, and rising investment is accelerating both access and innovation. What role will Middle East and Africa play in your global strategy? Market entry, clinical trials, or supply chain diversification? Are you aligned with the pace of regulatory and infrastructure development?
The pharmaceutical landscape is evolving fast, region by region. Whether it's North America's biologics boom, Europe's sustainability strategy, Asia's biotech leap, or emerging market resilience in LATAM and Middle East and Africa, leaders must rethink their global approach now. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Frost & Sullivan podcast series. To stay ahead of the curve, make sure to subscribe to our podcast channel. In the meantime, we invite you to subscribe to our Growth Opportunity newsletter, Join our exclusive Growth Council for Healthcare Innovators. Share your transformation journey through our Transformational Growth Leadership Program. Explore strategies for sustainable and equitable healthcare delivery. Until next time, keep innovating, stay informed, and lead the change.